Hello Solar Eclipse Timer users, this is Dr. Telepin checking back in. This episode is not going to be specifically about total solar eclipses, but is going to discuss a very important Sun-Earth relationship. Let's take a trip to a beautiful place together. Eclipse Event, Open App. Part of being an eclipse chaser is understanding some basic Sun, Earth, and Moon astronomy. After seeing the last eclipse, you have a better feeling for real-time celestial motion as you watch the moon move from west to east across the face of the sun. I want to discuss some Earth-Sun celestial motion. It's something that impacts the path of an eclipse, but we see it more with the change of the seasons and the length of the days. The Earth spins on its axis every 24 hours, but the Earth is not spinning perfectly vertically like a balanced top. It is tilted to the side by 23.5 degrees. This is called the axis tilt or obliquity. As the Earth orbits around the sun, that angle causes something interesting to happen. At some places in the orbit, the northern hemisphere of the Earth is angled more directly at the sun. At some places in the orbit, the southern hemisphere of the Earth is angled more directly at the sun. When the northern hemisphere is angled towards the sun, it is the summer months. At that point, the southern hemisphere is in the winter months, and then the opposite happens. The southern hemisphere is angled towards the sun for its summer months, making the northern hemisphere be in its winter months. So it is the 23.5 degree tilt of the Earth that causes the seasons. If the Earth spun completely vertically, relative to the plane of the orbit around the sun, the two hemispheres would both get the same amount of sun throughout the orbit. If this were the case, we would not have a change of seasons in the hemispheres. The seasons as related to the summer and winter solstices are also related to lines on the globe called the Tropic of Cancer in the northern hemisphere and the Tropic of Capricorn in the southern hemisphere. Now, if you lived in the United States and you wanted to do a site visit to make a teaching video about the Tropic of Cancer, a perfect place to go is the island of Long Island in the Bahamas. If you went to that island to do a video lecture, where would you stand? Here, here, or here? All three sites are reasonable choices and each has good and bad points. Let's start with the most northern line first, the classic line at 23.5 degrees north. So that brings us to this beach. This line in the sand is 23.5 degrees north, meaning it is 23.5 degrees north of the equator. Look at the GPS device and the Solar Eclipse Timer app geolocating on the cell phone. They are showing 23 degrees north. This marks the line around the entire globe called the Tropic of Cancer. The Tropic of Cancer, as it relates to the Earth leaning towards the sun, is the most northern latitude on the Earth that the sun can reach in the summer. So if I was standing on this line on the Tropic of Cancer on June 21st, the exact time of the summer solstice, the sun would be directly overhead. Directly over this line in the sand is the position called the zenith, which is an altitude of 90 degrees in the sky. If you live anywhere north of this line in the sand, the sun can never get to your zenith, but more on that later. Today, we are standing on this Tropic of Cancer line in the winter on December 30th. So 9 days ago at this location, December 21st, it was the winter solstice, and the altitude that the sun could get to was its lowest for the year. Over the past 9 days, each day, the sun is getting slightly higher in the sky. But on the Tropic of Capricorn 9 days ago, on December 21st, it was the summer solstice, and the sun was as high as it could get. At the Tropic of Capricorn, over the past 9 days, the sun has been moving slightly lower in the sky. To look at it another way, the sun has to change 47 degrees in latitude from the Tropic of Capricorn all the way to the Tropic of Cancer to get to the northern hemisphere, and that slow progression will continue until June 21st, when the sun will reach directly overhead on this beach on the summer solstice. Then the next day, it will start moving back down to the Tropic of Capricorn. Now let's talk about the seasons. We have seasons due to the angle of the axis of the Earth. It is pitched 23.5 degrees. As the Earth orbits around the Sun, the hemisphere that faces the Sun changes. At one place in the orbit, the northern hemisphere faces the Sun. It creates summer due to more direct sunlight and longer duration of days. But at that position in the orbit, the southern hemisphere is in winter. The sun rays are less direct and the days are shorter. Make believe my head is the Sun and the Earth is moving in its orbit. So on this side, the northern hemisphere is facing the Sun. As the Earth moves to the opposite side of the orbit, the pitch of the Earth stays the same. This makes the southern hemisphere face the Sun, so it is summer there, while in the northern hemisphere it is winter. The summer solstice for the southern hemisphere means the Sun will be overhead at the Tropic of Capricorn. So that is what is so interesting about this beach and this line in the sand. At the summer solstice, this is the furthest point north on the Earth where the Sun can be directly overhead. The Sun gets to this point, then immediately starts moving south again. In fact, the word solstice is derived from two Latin words, sol for sun and sistere for to stand still or stop. This is the point where the Sun stops before it reverses direction, so this is a very interesting and special beach. So let's continue to talk about being on that beach on December 30th. At that spot, on that day, the Sun can get to a maximum altitude of about 43 degrees above the horizon. Let's see what happens as we move north. What if you were in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, a latitude 10 degrees more north than that beach? The Sun could get to an altitude of 33 degrees. If you were in Concord, New Hampshire, 20 degrees north of the beach, the Sun could get to an altitude of 23 degrees. Move up to Newfoundland, Canada, 30 degrees more north of the beach, the Sun could get to an altitude of 13 degrees. On the lower tip of Greenland, 40 degrees more north of the beach, the Sun would only get to 3 degrees over the horizon. Look what happens when you get to the middle of Greenland, 50 degrees more north of that beach. The Sun only gets to -7 degrees relative to the horizon, meaning it will not rise above the horizon. Now you can understand why in the region of the Arctic, in the winter, they can have 24 hours of darkness. The northern Earth is tilted so much that the Sun won't rise. Everything is exactly the opposite at the Tropic of Capricorn in the southern hemisphere. Now let's talk about the other two places that you could use as a backdrop for an educational talk on the Tropic of Cancer. The line that marks the Tropic of Cancer is actually constantly shifting. At this time it is shifting southward, and the government of Long Island appropriately installed a road sign on the main road, the Queens Highway, marking the tropic when it was located at 23.43747 degrees north. This is about 5¼ miles south of the 23.5 degree line. Let's take a look at this site. I did the main educational demonstration at 23.5 degrees north because that is the number described in books and marked on globes and maps. But the Tropic of Cancer is more complicated than that. A complex motion of the Earth in its orbit makes it vary over a period of 41,000 years. It can move between 22 degrees and 24.5 degrees north. Presently, it is moving south at about 0.468 degrees per year, which is about 16 yards per year. This sign is placed at 23.43747 north. They have the sign lined up to be a road sign, so it is perpendicular to the road. It's actually not in the axis of east-west. I have the camera pointing in the axis of east-west. I estimate that this sign was placed here about 4.2 years ago because the present calculation for the Tropic of Cancer has it at 23.43695, which is 70 yards more south. We have moved south down this road to 23.43695. there was no beach access to do this video at the coordinates of the sign or the new location of the tropic, so we needed to document it on the road. Thank you for watching this Solar Eclipse Timer episode. I hope this gets you interested in studying more about the 5 major circles of latitude on the Earth: the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn, the equator, and the Arctic and Antarctic circles. I will be uploading an additional episode that will discuss the exact logistics of a trip to the Tropic of Cancer on Long Island, Bahamas, if you are ever interested in doing that. If you want to learn more and become an eclipse chaser, please subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below. And when the little bell pops up, click on that too. Then you will be notified when I release new episodes about other eclipse information. Also post comments and questions. If you don't feel like subscribing now, that's okay too, but remember, the next total solar eclipse in the United States is on April 8th, 2024. Thanks again. I appreciate your time.